Okay, artists, today we are going to do the next step in our Andy Warhol dessert print project. We are going to start making the background for our prints to be on. If you have not finished your print, you need to make sure that you Sharpied it and added the details back into your dessert that you had on your original design. So like the lines on my candle or these curlicues weren't part of the printing process but now needed to be added back on. So finish sharpening first, then you are going to complete the background today. In order to make the background, we are going to weave using a black piece of paper. So you're going to need a black piece of paper. You're going to need a white color pencil, and you will, to just start, you will need a pair of scissors and a strip. You will find all these tools at the supply table, at pink table. The first thing you need to do is to fold your black paper in half. You want to match up the corners as best you can. And once the corners are matched, I like to just take my hands and flatten them. It is much easier than lining it up and then trying to take your finger across. Just line up the corners and flatten your hands. Then it will be folded in half. The next step is to take your strip of paper, line it up with the edge. Now this is very important. This is where we make a mistake and it matters. You'd have to start all over. It needs to be on the book side. You need to line the strip up, not on the fold. Here's my fold over here. So you can see this is the fold. You need to line it up on the opening. I'm going to keep saying that because I have had students in the past that didn't follow that direction and they lined it up on the fold, and when they cut to it, they don't have a loom that they can weave. So essentially this black piece of paper is our loom and what we're going to weave our strips into. So I make this line, and to know that this is going to stay, I'm not cutting this off, I need to write my name and even my class code, so whatever your class code is, if it's 2DO or whatever it is. Okay. Then I'm going to take and I'm going to do a bunch of lines that go from the fold up to that line. So I might do a wavy line, I might do a straight line. It's very important that you make sure they're at least 2 finger widths, because if you get too close when you cut, that's going to just cut right off. I can't get too close. So do about 2 finger widths. I might want a zigzag line. I might want to try a castle line. Okay, I might do bumps. Maybe another straight line. A wavy line again, and a zigzag line. Okay, then I'm going to cut, and it's very important that you start at the fold and cut to the white line and stop. If you keep going, you're just cutting strips off this black paper. You want to start at the fold and stop when you get to that white line. So my zigzag line here. Now you can kind of see why it's important you have at least 2 finger widths, and that was my fingers. So if you have really skinny fingers, you might even want to make it a little bit wider. Your strips, if they're too skinny, might be too fragile and fall off your loom. So I keep calling this black paper my loom because this is what I'm going to be weaving on. And a loom is the structure that you weave sometimes it could be yarn, in our case it's going to be paper. Right. Once I have all of this cut, and you can tell if cutting with scissors is somewhat of a challenge, don't make your lines that you draw too tricky. If you want to do just straight lines, you can. If you want to get a little more challenging and maybe do a couple straight lines with a couple wavy, but doing the castle lines might be a little much if turning the scissors is a challenge. As you can see, straight lines are much easier to do. Okay, 2 lines left. When I get done cutting these lines, then I can go back to the pink table and pick out my color strips. Now your strips could be all, at least pick out 2 colors, but you could do a pattern, or your strips could all be different colors. You decide what your art is going to look like for the background of your dessert. Maybe you want the colors to match your print that you made. So if you have a dessert that has a lot of purple and chocolate and green, then you might want to do purples and greens to go with it. So I open it up, and you can see I have all these strips now that I can weave on. So I'm going to flatten it. I want to make sure, actually it doesn't really matter which side you weave on, but I have my strips here. I picked neon green, purple, and blue. And I'm going to do a pattern. So I'm going to start on one side, and I'm going to go every other. It's over, under, over. When I say over, I'm referring to the purple. The purple is over the black. The next black strip, it goes under. Then it goes over, under, over, under, over. So you can see every other black strip is going over and under. And then I am going to kind of push it up and do my next one. I'm going to do green next. Now this is where we make a mistake, is we sometimes put it in the exact same way the other one went in. The green one is over just like the purple is over. However, that is not going to create a weave. It will all just bunch up on the one end. It will only work if they are opposite. So if the purple was over this black strip, the green has to go under. And if this one starts under, the next one should be over. If you're not sure what it should be, look at the purple one before it, or whatever your one is before. If the purple is under the strip, the green needs to be over it. Under, over, under, over, and under. Okay, and then I want to slide it down and kind of straighten it out. And then I'm going to do my next color, which is blue. Now again, I look at the one before it. If green was under, I can't go under as well. That's not opposite. I need to go over, where it's kind of like you want to create a checkerboard. This wouldn't make sense because the black and black aren't opposite and the colors aren't opposite. So green was under, blue's going to go over. Under, over, under, over. If you just keep telling yourself that in your head, so over, under, over, under. That's pretty much the whole direction. It's just over, under, and slide it down. Now when I have this all done, and I'm doing a pattern, so my next one would be so it's purple, green, blue. I would need to do purple next. When I get this all done, the last step is that you need to take a glue stick so that they don't move on you. And you need to glue the ends. And you want to make sure they're lined up so they're not sticking out. You put a little bit of glue and hold it down. I need to do the blue as well. And I would need to flip this over to do the green. That's on the other side. So don't forget your strips. On both sides, we need to glue them down. Flip it over. I need to do the purple on this side. And I would end up doing my whole loom. I didn't finish it. But hopefully you get that idea so that in the end, you have a loom. The ends are all glued down, and it looks like a black and colored checkerboard. When you finish this, since we're gluing them, they go onto the drying rack. If you don't glue, they can go in your table folder.